Good afternoon, I'm Anthony Marr. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I'm currently on a long tour, 4.5 months, covering 24 states and 6 Canadian provinces. It's called the Compassion for Animals Road Expedition, and this is number 6, and I just factored in the AR conference. Talking about animal entertainment, I have the pleasure to announce that the British Columbian campaign against the rodeo has borne some fruit. The biggest rodeo event in British Columbia is in Cloverdale, and the Cloverdale Rodeo is sort of the BC equivalent of the Calgary Stampede, except it's a little bit smaller. And our local forces have been picketing these rodeos for years and years and years, and finally we've driven them to ban calf roping as an event. So that's kind of a partial success. And you know, our strategy is that it's going to fall like dominoes, you know, calf roping and then other events until all the cool stuff is gone, which means that the rodeo will probably be gone completely. And what I would like to focus on today are the dolphins in oceanariums and dolphinariums and aquariums. Vancouver, where I come from, is supposedly a world-class aquarium, and we used to keep orcas in these pools, and you know, these pools are not much bigger than this room, and you put an orca in there, and it's like a pig like a sow in a gestation crate almost. You know, they can turn in a circle. That's about it. And all captive orcas have their dorsal fins bent over to one side because, well, they say that the spirit is broken. My interpretation is that they tend to swim in one direction, and the water pressure would press the fin off to one side, whereas those in the wild stand up straight. And that is a really sorry thing to happen. When we talk about dolphin entertainment in aquariums, and I'm not going to go into, you know, what kind of tricks they are made to perform. First of all, let me say that dolphins have a larger brain than humans. We humans have an average brain size of about 1,450 cc's. Most bottlenose dolphins go up to 1,600 plus cc's. That means 150 to 200 cc's bigger than ours. More convoluted in the structure, with one extra lobe and with a very big frontal lobe. And I tend to wonder, you know, what do they use this huge brain for? The orcas have brains of about 6,000 cc's, which is about more than 4 times bigger than ours. My conclusion, after having thought about dolphins for a long, long time, is that dolphin brains, since dolphins don't have hands to create tools and don't have any means to record their memory down, I believe that the huge brain is for storing an immense amount of memory, which possibly will include a lot of legends, centuries old. Dolphins have evolved into being far earlier than humans. We humans, Homo sapiens, didn't come around until less than 500,000 years ago, much later than that, whereas dolphins came around easily 10 million years ago. So they must have a huge amount of memory that they want to pass on, but couldn't write it down, couldn't burn on CD, couldn't put on paper. And so they have to remember it, and they do have very sophisticated languages. So my interpretation is that the brain is used for storing an immense amount of information and memory and legends, and the sophisticated language would be the transmission tool from generation to generation. So if we kill dolphins, we more than kill their bodies, we kill the cultures as well, in my opinion. Now, I've been to Japan twice to fight the Japanese dolphin slaughter, which kills about 20,000 dolphins every year. When I went there to Taiji in that bay, I went there to experiment on a technique to communicate with dolphins so that we could warn dolphins of the danger in that bay. And I used this technique I cannot tell you what this technique is because the campaign is not over and the opposition must not know what it is. But anyway, it involves me going into the water. That's as far as I'll go. And because of this technique, when I was there for about 3 weeks, the dolphins never did enter the bay. So they didn't get just like Sea Shepherd, when they go to the Antarctic to confront the Japanese whalers, when they're there, they don't get any whales. And unfortunately, that technique requires somebody to be there. So we couldn't get anybody in Japan to do it. And I cannot live in Japan. And I cannot motivate enough people to go to Japan to do it. And Caucasian people stand up like a sore thumb, so you probably would be the wrong people to do it, and I certainly cannot find any Chinese people to volunteer except myself. And I'm fighting another battle now. So suffice to say that the technique worked for me, and it exists. And I believe, on average, they would kill one pot of dolphin every 3 or 4 days, but I was there for 3 weeks, and they got nothing. But they didn't know why not. And that's why I didn't want you to tell them that there was a technique happening, that there was this Chinese guy, posted as a Japanese guy. And actually, how this Chinese guy went to Japan was Sea Shepherd asked for a Chinese guy to go to, well, not a Chinese guy, but an Oriental-looking guy to go to Japan to do something that a white guy couldn't do. So I said, yes, but I've got an extra something to offer you, Paul Watson, and that's this technique, and we arrived at this cooperation, and I went and I tested the technique, and it was successful. So what I'm driving at is, if it is not successful, what would have happened was that they would drive a whole pot of dolphins in. In the entire world, there were only 27 dolphin killers with 13 boats. And these 27 people are holding the entire world hostage, and we, millions of people who love dolphins, cannot lever against these 13 people. They're deeply entrenched. But